Hello and welcome to The Report, Cal State Fullerton's premier source for news, views, and info. I'm Bree Slick.
I'm Gabriella Martinez.
I'm Jefferson Denham. Now, before we get started with our first hot topic, we'd like to invite you to be a part of the discussion. Click on the link in the description of any of our report episodes to fill out a secure Google form with your opinion on any controversial issue that we've talked about, now or in the past, as many of these issues are recurring and evolving. We also have a Twitter account. Follow at the report CSUF to check out our polls, questions, and news updates.
The Democrats' impeachment inquiry against President Trump has accelerated. Key witness testimonies were made public this past Monday, as the release includes a transcript made by former Ukraine ambassador Marie Yovanovitch. The ambassador was suddenly removed from her position following a campaign by President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. Also included in this testimony was a statement from Michael McKinley, a former senior advisor to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. For more on this update, we turn to CNN reporter Alex Markard.
The impeachment inquiry today reaching new heights as transcripts of closed-door testimony were released to the public for the first time. Explosive comments made under oath by former ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, and Michael McKinley, a former top aide to the Secretary of State who resigned in protest. Yovanovitch telling lawmakers that the rogue Ukraine policy, led by President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, was not good policy, kind of a partisan game that cut the ground from underneath the U.S. Embassy. Ukrainians were wondering whether I was going to be leaving, Yovanovitch said, whether we really represented the president. Yovanovitch said that late last year she learned from Ukrainian officials about a concerted campaign, that Giuliani and a former prosecutor had plans, and that they were going to, do things, including to me. A senior Ukrainian official warning her to watch her back.
That smear campaign, orchestrated by this irregular channel, was successful in removing a U.S. ambassador and tarring her reputation.
After repeated attacks from Trump allies like his son, Don Jr., and Giuliani, Yovanovitch, who is a 33-year veteran of the Foreign Service, went to Ambassador Gordon Sondland, a point man for the president on Ukraine, for advice. His response? You need to go big or go home. Tweet out there that you support the president and that all these are lies and everything else. McKinley, for his part, said he was disturbed by the implication that foreign governments were being approached to procure negative information on political opponents, and what appears to be the utilization of our ambassadors overseas to advance domestic political objectives. He went to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo 3 times for a show of support for Yovanovitch, but Pompeo didn't respond, which is directly at odds with what Pompeo told ABC News.
Never heard him say a single thing.
All right, now, we've talked about this for a few weeks now, and I just feel like there's so many things to talk about within the impeachment process and everything, but I think what really stands out to me is that in the transcript, it states that the State Department was fully aware of what Giuliani was doing. They knew exactly what was going on, and that all the information that Giuliani heard from Ukraine was going to reach the president. So the president knew everything that was going on. But I think my question is, what do you guys think? Do you think that this is actually going to change what's going on within the impeachment process? Or because honestly, I feel like we've talked about this so many times and we've heard so many things. Yeah, I feel like nothing's really going on.
It's a soap opera, honestly. Let's be honest. This is a soap opera going back and forth. He's stirring the pot. I think at this point, it's just like, it's a continuation and it keeps on building up. Does it really matter? Will it really affect President Trump's election in the future? I don't think so. All the information has been leaked out. What's new?
Yeah.
What's new?
I was just saying to Bree earlier that I saw a report where a poll was taken amongst Trump's supporters, and 62% of them said they can't think of anything he can do that would not make them vote for him, which is a yikes. I think we're seeing lots of scrambling from the president's supporters, trying to have it both ways. Like, we're trying to appear even-keeled, but it's obviously they're trying to cover things up. So last week, the Black Student Union held a town hall meeting to discuss their demands to remedy the recent hate speech incident and better Cal State Fullerton's policies and campus environment. President Vergy issued a letter in response to their demands. Vergy denied the BSU's request of $500,000 to be put towards scholarships and a peer mentoring program. He further explained that state laws prohibit the distribution of funds based on race. The BSU also requested to employ 2 full-time black psychologists on campus, which was also denied due to state legislation against racial quotas. The university did, however, pledge $75,000 towards hosting the African Black Coalition Conference next year. They also announced that they would look into updating the campus rules on racial discriminatory conduct and increasing the number of tenured black faculty on campus. Vergy stated that the fraternity had the right to due process, but promised that this was only the beginning to these discussions with the Black Student Union. I don't know about you. I think that when this came out, obviously it's explosive. I have family members who are black, so I told you earlier, I tend to sort of go, you know what, we really need to pay attention to things like this. I will say, it seems to me that it's good to move a little slow on this. Because, and here's why I think this, because in the heat of the moment, you can say things and do things that you will regret later. I hope that President Vergy is sincere when he says this is not the end. I hope that they take the ball and run with it, and they don't wait for the Black Student Union to come back to them.
Yeah, I think it was just horrible, the whole scene. Like, there is racism on campus. That is something that we established 2 weeks ago. Now, the organization asking for $500,000, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I understand. There was disrespect. That was very disrespectful. That shouldn't have happened. But asking for $500,000 and for, what is it, new
peer mentoring
and scholarships, are they pushing it a little too much? Is that reasonable?
Well, he can't even do it. You giving scholarships towards the African Americans on our campus and everything, it's against the law. That's what he stated. So I feel like they almost knew that already, though, that he wasn't going to be able to do that. But I mean, I think what we need to look at, though, is that he didn't deny everything. He gave them some of what they asked for, and I think that is a start. As long as it is a start and he doesn't just end there, that we continue to grow to make things better for everyone on our campus, that next year that we are going to change what is being done.
The question is, does that change the fact that there's racism on campus?
I think that because it has reared its ugly head, I love the response. I love the fact that people are taking it seriously and trying to do something about it. So that I will celebrate, and let's hope that we'll keep taking
Let's hope
the
that we do.
appropriate
Yeah,
steps.
that we do. Let's move on. It has been 17 years since the pharmaceutical world has been able to create an effective medication for people who suffer from Alzheimer's. However, China brings new hope with those who suffer from this cognitive disease. Authorities in China have given the green light on a new seaweed-based drug called oligomanate, according to China's Drug Safety Agency. Currently, the Chinese Academy of Science is researching how patients with mild to moderate Alzheimer's react to the drug. The treatment will be closely monitored over the study and will immediately be stopped if any negative side effects occur. Though very little is currently known about oligomanate, the company has announced that the drug will be available in China very soon and is currently seeking to launch clinical trials in the US and Europe as soon as 2020.
Following their first World Series title, the Washington Nationals defeated the Houston Astros 6-2 in Game 7 last week. The Nats were subsequently invited to the White House for a ceremony honoring their big win this past Monday. Not all team members were in attendance, however, as Nationals pitcher Sean Doolittle, among others, declined the White House visit. A notable CSUF alum did attend, however, as catcher Kurt Suzuki made headlines for the visit. The president acknowledged Suzuki's success and invited him to the podium, where he sported a MAGA hat. Suzuki was met with cheers from the audience as Donald Trump proceeded to hug the catcher from behind, performing what some might say was a, quote, cringy gesture. Ultimately, the exchange went viral as the Twitterverse responded with Titanic memes surrounding the awkward interaction. All right, now you guys just saw the video right there, and I will say it was pretty cringy. But with Suzuki, I was really excited to hear that Suzuki is a great baseball player, and he's been in the majors for a while now. And to hear that he helped win the World Series for the Nats. You know, I was just so happy, like, wow, you know, he's representing us. But then when he goes to the podium, throws on that MAGA hat, I don't know about everyone else, but I mean, I feel like a lot of people in our area were just like, oh, you know, like a little disappointed. But when it comes to the people who didn't attend, this isn't the first time that it's happened before. You know, we had the Patriots, we had members from the Patriots, U.S. Olympians, University of Virginia men's basketball team, and then of course the Golden State Warriors, the Eagles, and the Cavs, you know, like all that happened. So honestly, a lot of people like talk badly about them for not going, but they made a statement. Suzuki made a statement when he threw on the hat.
True.
They made a statement by not attending. So
Well,
I don't see why that's a problem.
Speaking of the Titanic memes, I almost thought when Trump, you know, I know he loves to hug things. He loves to hug the flag. I just didn't know that it extended to hugging people wearing MAGA hats. And when he did, you know, from behind, maybe he was checking to see if his heart would go on or something else.
Yeah.
I just hope Trump bought him dinner afterwards. Now,
I don't
look,
know. It's
the thing about, you know, first of all, yay Nationals, congratulations. Really, that's a big
Big
thing.
win for them.
But I also want to highlight someone who did not go, pitcher Sean Doolittle, because like you said, it is not wrong to not go. Now, you know, the language usually comes down to us like, oh, this is massive boycott. But Doolittle said, look, I just cannot, it's not even his policies. He said it's his rhetoric because it's so divisive. Plus, Doolittle's wife was raised by two moms. He's got a brother-in-law with autism. You remember in the 2016 campaign when Trump famously made fun of a reporter with special needs. So Doolittle said, just in good conscience, I can't do this.
It looks wrong. I mean, it almost looks like, is he making fun of it? What is this? Like he's playing around with him by hugging him. The hat part too, it's a little disrespectful. I'm not sure what this is. I think that the president's doing his job. He's doing his job. He is congratulating them because of their huge win. And I think that now everything that's going on after that, it's just extra. He's congratulating them. He's the only person that went up there to go meet the president. Go ahead, that's okay. Right. Everything else is a little extra for sure.
Yeah, and if anybody doesn't want to go, look, we live in America and we have the right to be, express our opinions, especially speaking truth to power. So speaking of speaking truth to power and also divisive rhetoric, I think this next story is connected in some way. A Milwaukee resident is in stable condition following an altercation with an unknown suspect this past Friday. 42-year-old Mahoud Viales and the suspect were caught on videotape arguing over how he had parked his car. In an interview with the victim, Viales commented that the argument escalated with the suspect, calling Viales, quote, illegal, and telling him to, quote, get out of my country, end quote. The argument became heated to the point where the suspect was seen throwing acid on his face, causing second-degree burns. For more on this story, we turn to CNN reporter Sharon Bagenda, but we should warn you, some might find the following footage a little disturbing.
Cameras captured the argument between the two men before acid was thrown on Mahoud Viales' face.
They start burning us really bad. It starts go screaming for help to the restaurant.
The acid caused second-degree burns and severe scarring. Police say the attack happened just before 8:30 on Friday, and it left neighbors in shock.
I've been here for 30 years, so, I'm comfortable. That's why I was shocked to hear something like that happened over here.
I've been around all my life. Not much has happened like that.
Police arrested the 61-year-old suspect on Saturday.
I don't want this guy near my kids, my family, or everything like that.
In a statement, the Viales family says, "We wish to thank Chief Alfonso Morales and all the professionals at the Milwaukee Police Department for their efforts in bringing the attacker to justice. We also wish to thank everyone for their thoughts and prayers during this difficult time."
Kind wishes and thoughts and prayers to Mahoud's family. I am not surprised, in a way, by these kinds of actions that we hear about more and more nowadays. When you think about the fact that the President of the United States calls Mexicans horrible names. He refers to some people from other countries being from shithole countries. And he even talks about some people who are in Congress and says you should go back to the country you came from. The White House, not only the president, but all of his supporters speak like this, right? And so the White House and all of our elected officials have to recognize that they have a bully pulpit. They get to sort of say, these are the topics we're going to talk about, and we need to make sure that we hold our elected officials accountable. The mayor of Milwaukee even said, we have to expect more, right? We've got to expect more from our elected officials, especially from the White House.
Mm-hmm. I think that what we need to point out is, who carries acid with them? Nobody.
Right?
Nobody carries acid with them.
I'm going to go out and I got some acid.
Yeah.
I think he was fixing his car. He was doing something with his car. That's why he had a cup of. He was fixing his car. There was something going on with his car, and he was.
Was it like battery acid, maybe?
Yes.
Okay, but to throw that in somebody's face, I almost. A lot of people are saying this is a hate crime, and I agree. I think that it is a hate crime. I mean, over a parking spot.
The mayor agrees with you. Yeah. Mayor of Milwaukee also agrees with you.
I mean, it's only obvious. I think at this point, there's no point in us like discussing about how horrible the act is. Let's ask ourselves, what can we do to make a difference now? What can we do? Because we can make a difference here ourselves. We're a very diverse group here. What can we do to make a difference, create tolerance, teach the new generation how to tolerate, respect others? We can banter on for a whole entire hour and say how horrible these acts are. There are so many. There are numerous acts out there. What can we do to change and make a difference? It starts with us. It starts with our acts, showing respect towards ourselves first and foremost. And I think that way we can set an example to others.
You're right, although we are in competing dialogue, really. So we can say we need to be responsible and spread the love and goodwill amongst ourselves. But then you've got different and alternative narrative coming from the White House. So you're fighting against that. So we can try to develop a narrative like this, but there are people who follow everything that the president says, and they behave as much. I mean, what he said are exact quotes, almost exact quotes from the people you hear in the White House and the White House's supporters.
Exactly. Elections are coming up in 2020, and I really do hope that we do make a difference and we choose wisely, because these couple of years have been horrific for us. But on a lighter note, let's go ahead and move on and change the subject a bit. Halloween may be over, but the love for pumpkins continued this past weekend. CSUF's Computer Science and Engineering Department co-hosted the 12th annual pumpkin launch with the Discovery Cube Science Center. Last Saturday, 10 different teams competed on the intramural fields for the, quote, supremely powered pumpkin projectile device trophy. Fullerton's archery team kicked off the event with a bang, exhibiting a balloon popping demonstration for the participants and attendees. Out of the 10 teams, 6 were from Cal State Fullerton. One of the youngest teams this year was a group from Laurel Magnet Elementary School of Career and Innovation. This event welcomes all ages to participate, promoting STEM and engineering, inclusion, and diversity in the community. The competing teams sent their pumpkins off their launchers, aiming for targets at various distances to earn points. Cal State Fullerton definitely reached higher this weekend, as one of our teams scored first place, while another tied for second place.
Engineers are looking to the future of bionics. The engineers are developing a prototype bionic leg that helps amputees walk farther and for longer periods of time. Its lightweight design greatly helps amputees gain more abilities, as it fits comfortably and is able to move in multiple directions. While the bionic leg is still undergoing rigorous testing, the engineers and amputees are hopeful for the future of prosthetics. For more on this amazing story, we turn to CNN reporter Jordan Hogan.
It's an impressive piece of tech, powered by motors, artificial intelligence, and sensors. The Bionic Engineering Lab at the University of Utah is working with a prototype bionic leg, and they're fine-tuning it with people like Kerry Finn. He lost his leg 3 years ago due to complications with type 2 diabetes, but this new bionic leg is giving him hope.
Walking it at first was like walking on a trampoline with one leg. You'd bounce, but once you got used to it and they do the adjustments, the feeling is fantastic. It's a whole new world.
The team working on this says the bionic leg will help improve the lives of amputees by letting them walk faster and for longer.
It also assists me with walking upstairs. I'm able to take 2 steps at a time, which I have not done in 3 years of losing a leg. I felt if I could do anything to further the cause of prosthesis and how they work, I thought it would be a good thing, even if I don't get to see it in my lifetime.
And with that, that's all the time we have for today on The Report. Have a great week, everyone, and stay tuned for more news, views, and info. I'm Bree Eastlick.
I'm Jefferson Denham.
And I'm Gabriela Martinez. Stay fresh, Fullerton.
And before we go, we would just like to wish a very happy birthday to our director, Mac.
Yeah, save me a cupcake.
Yes.
Happy birthday to you.